The sensational witchcraft trial of Elizabeth Morse, the Witch of Newburyport, 12 years before the Salem Trials. 1679 Newburyport, Massachusetts. William Morse, an elderly cobbler, and his wife Elizabeth are living in a multi-generational family home with grandchildren. William begins to complain to his friends about a haunting that would occur every night, as stones and shoes would be thrown around in the dark, and strange objects would tumble down the chimney. One night, he heard a clamor downstairs, only to find a pig in the parlor. But one midnight, his friend, a sailor, was passing by and casually decided to look into their windows, only to see the Morse's grandson throwing a shoe at Elizabeth while William was knelt in prayer. The next day, the sailor came over and said, "Look, let me take your grandson for the night, and I promise the haunting will stop immediately." Be careful how you phrase things, because those words might later be used against you in a court of law.
"And I promise the haunting will stop immediately."
He took the boy, returned in the morning, and the haunting had stopped. So he's arrested for witchcraft, but he's a man. I don't know, is he a witch? We can't say for sure. So they send him home and he promptly moves to a different town. But that's not a satisfying conclusion for the bloodlust of an angry mob. So they decide there must be another witch involved. And of course it must be Elizabeth, William's elderly wife, who you'll remember was also recently having shoes thrown at her. So she's arrested and taken to trial. One man says he promised to bring Elizabeth some poultry from the next town over, and he forgot to do it 4 times, and then she exploded with anger. Oh, she's a witch for sure. He also testified that his cows were being weird, so it was a pretty straightforward conviction. So Elizabeth is sentenced to death, and she's headed to the gallows, but her husband manages to somehow navigate this very inconsistent legal system. Word gets to the governor, and he says, no, you can't just kill this woman. So they can't kill her, but they can put her on house arrest for the rest of her life, and she can't leave home without a priest or deacon, which she does for the next 10 years, and then she dies, and is not allowed to be buried next to her God-fearing, gossiping, benevolent, bloodthirsty, vindictive Christian neighbors. But on the bright side, now there's a nice plaque in town. But this has been the tragic tale of the sensational witchcraft trial of Elizabeth Morse, the Witch of Newburyport.